Fellow heroes and Force users of all ages, hello there, and welcome back to Inside the Tauntaun, a podcast in the multiverse of fandom. I'm Daniel Dawson, and I'm joined by my dear friend and fellow nerf herder, Dino Nicandros.
Hello.
Today we are discussing the Season 3 premiere of The Mandalorian. We're back, baby! Oh, I'm so excited. Episode 1 was written by Jon Favreau and directed by Rick Famuyiwa? Is that how you say his name? I hope so. Oh my god, thank God. And by God, we're Star Wars fans!
I don't know who you are or where you came from.
I am Iron.
I thought they smelled bad. On the outside.
Smells like a new car in here.
Inside the Tauntaun, this is our opening song. Alyssa, Daniel, Dino, talking nerd stuff, come along. Inside the Tauntaun podcast, please like and subscribe.
Oh, we're back.
We're back!
We're back. God, I can't believe it has been 2 years.
It's been a long effing time. I mean, technically, we got a little diet version a year ago. We got, we had a half a season. Or
I'm waiting for the Boba Fett episode of the Mandalorian.
Same, literally same.
Where it's just about Boba Fett.
Just get it out of the way. Oh man.
When last we left Mandalorian proper.
Yeah, the proper version. We were all a puddle of gooey
one of the
mess.
most bittersweet moments in Star Wars history.
Oh my god. I still know we've talked about this before on the show, but I it's the stuff that we'll tell our kids that are our grandkids, I remember when I was watching it for the first time.
When Jedi Master Luke Skywalker came and took the baby Yoda
Oh
away.
my god. Only for him to just leave immediately after.
Okay, well yeah, so let's just get right into it.
Yeah.
Was the ending of season 2 of The Mandalorian undone by everything that has transpired since?
That is interesting that you say that. No. I don't think it was. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, because it obviously, it doesn't change the effect that it had on me. Nothing can change that. Whether or not, it would have the same weight, had I known that, he was just, I think at that point, because we had already even said, when we were reviewing the episode originally, we weren't Baby Yoda is going to go away forever. There was just no way. So we were all, half expecting him to, somehow, some way leave Luke. He wasn't going to be, although I guess maybe the one thing that I wasn't really sure of was whether or not he was, gonna forego the life of a Jedi and be nah, I don't want that. I just want to be a Mandalorian. I didn't think that was gonna be a thing, but I think I was already kind of preparing myself for him to be nah, I'm good. I'm gonna go do something else instead.
Right.
Because otherwise, I would, as we were predicting, there was one of two things that would happen. Either he was gonna stay with Luke and then eventually die by the hands of
Ben Solo. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or he would survive. And because Disney loves money, they are going to, and also they don't want the wrath of every, not even just Star Wars fans, just people who love Baby Yoda.
Right.
Because there are now Star Wars fans, and there are also just Baby Yoda lovers.
Right.
They would be not pleased. So yeah. Yeah. So, but what about you? Do you feel similar thoughts or different thoughts?
So, to your point about, I think when we originally talked about Grogu and Mando parting, that yes, they would eventually see each other again. I think I said at the time they will see each other again, but this has a sense of finality to their current relationship. The next time Mando sees Grogu will be years and years into the future, and maybe he's a Force user, maybe he's a whatever, but he'll come back into his life in some meaningful way. But I think sure.
Yes, the fact that his time away was so truncated, literally within 2 episodes, that feels a little not cheap is a really strong word, but kinda it does cheapen it maybe a little bit.
We've talked a lot on this show about and this is on its face not related, but you'll see what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked a lot about how bringing Tony Stark back to life, especially in the years right after Endgame, would have completely undone
Yes.
what was earned.
Correct.
I kind of get the feeling that happened here.
Well, I mean, it's interesting too that you say that, because I was going to discuss this later in the episode, but I mean, since we're just talking about all the things that are kind of like being undone, also the death of droid, what's his name,
IG-11.
IG-11, yeah, the fact that they're randomly bringing him back, and for just because like Mando trusts him
He's
a lot,
funny.
I guess.
Yeah.
I really, really hope that in the writing they somehow like explain that more than just that, because it feels kind of
more than just getting the band back together.
Because that's literally all it sounds like. Yeah, I mean, and it feels a little bit more like, oh, wasn't that a fun character? And like people really responded well to him. We got to figure out a way to bring him back somehow. And then they just kind of like said, yeah, he's like, I really trust that droid. And it's just like, well, if that's the case, then like, why didn't we do this sooner? Like in season 2, you know, if you were like, did he like learn some like, you know, really cool droid repairing skills within season, like in between season 1 and season 3 that like made him.
He was oddly intact. He was oddly intact for being blown to pieces.
Melted
like he's
in
self-destructed.
He self-destructed and was like in like lava.
In a lava river. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, you know, yeah, we can bring him back. I'm curious. I'm trying to remember back, and forgive me for not being prepared, but and I don't want to speak ill of obviously Jon Favreau, because like God bless him, he's great at what he does. Like,
no.
Has he like he didn't write like all of the episodes in like season 1 and season 2, right? I know he like did, but like wasn't like
he wrote most of them, I think.
Did he? Oh, okay, yeah. I'm just like,
I think he was at least. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was.
I mean, I believe you.
I'll double check, but
okay, yeah, like just like the
I'll double check here, but
it does feel like yeah, like it's a maybe just a little too easy of a fix. I mean, it obviously, like, I mean, I'm curious what like, you know, sitting at the table, like what the conversation was. It's like, okay, how do we get Taika Waititi back on the show, or was it that, or was it like why would we need Babu Frick in the show? Like, is it one or is it both? Is it like I need both of them? Oh, like, oh my god, like, you know, is it?
Although. My understanding is we might not have yet seen Babu Frick. These are just the Ancellans. We've seen the Ancellans, but I don't.
Yes. Which, by the way, are all played by the same person. I'm checking again,
but I'm not sure. I'm not sure Babu Frick is actually credited.
Okay, gotcha. I mean, I imagine that's probably true, because that feels like it would be a little too, also like very like what's the word? Convenient, I guess? Like, no, how convenient. That being said, all of those characters, all of that particular race of characters are all played by the same person, by Moaning Myrtle.
Like, the inclusion of Babu Frick would bother me a whole lot less than maybe undoing some very large plot point.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that too.
Yeah, so Shirley Henderson, just for
don't call me Shirley,
shits and giggles. Shirley Henderson voiced Babu Frick, but she's credited on this episode as the Anzellian crew.
Right.
So
she like plays all of them.
So we haven't officially seen Babu Frick.
Yeah, and I was gonna say too, because like I think that all of us would know, like, because like he has like just a certain extra special something, whatever that is. We haven't seen it yet.
So. And I don't know. So this episode. No, well, let me preface it. I'm so excited Mando's back.
I'm thrilled. Yes.
As far as this episode goes, there's more good than bad.
Yes.
And there's nothing that strikes me as, when I say bad, there's nothing that particularly strikes me as bad.
No.
But I'm still suffering from a bit of that Boba Fett syndrome, where as amazing and awesome as the episode was, when we see Grogu make the decision to leave Luke, and we were, I remember how viscerally excited we all were that the gang was getting back together.
Oh yeah.
Ever since then, though, it's felt like a marketing ploy.
Yeah.
And this episode was very heavy on the Grogu-isms, which, I mean, when you're watching it, you're enjoying yourself, which I suppose maybe that's all that matters.
Yes.
But
because for the first time ever, Grogu is now like officially like a sidekick. He's not like the plot line. Like the first 2 seasons were really like Mandalorian's purpose was this child, and that's not the case anymore. I mean, he is like very important to the Mando, but he's not his sole purpose, which changes things a lot. So now Grogu exists in this show as an adorable foil to the Mando, but like is not, he hasn't proved him. I mean, this is episode 1 that we're talking about, so I say this very lightly, but yeah, it does kind of feel like it's just like, oh my god, he's doing adorable things, isn't that sweet? But we're not really sure like what his purpose is yet in this season.
And you know what? I also don't want to fall victim to recency bias, and what I mean by that is the last Star Wars we watched, save for Bad Batch, was Andor.
Right.
And tonally,
it's a little different.
It couldn't be any more different than I think what Mandalorian is going for. And
we
both
talked
are valid,
about that too.
But you just have to remember what Mandalorian's purpose is and what Andor's purpose was. And they both serve the greater story, but they're coming at it from
very different
perspectives.
Yeah, and like I think the Mandalorian like season 1 until now, like has always been much more leaning in the fan service than not. And but are we leaning? Does it feel like we're leaning more now? Potentially, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, but by default, I think the answer is yes, because we're likely going to see Ahsoka again. We're likely going to see, they're going to start throwing in all the Rebels characters and Thrawn, and
it's funny because I mean, like that was probably like I mean, we're gonna talk about it. It's one of the parts of the, like, I think it was like the pivotal part of the episode that like really got me the most. Like when I actually, like, if I had like long ears, they would have perked up, and I've been like, when we all saw the purrgils, that was like so fucking cool.
By default, we're gonna see a lot of familiar characters, and you can call that fan service. But But I mean, it's fun, and we enjoy it, and I do trust Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni,
obviously,
overall with crafting
a fun storyline,
a fun story, and a compelling story, and let's not lose sight of, we've talked about it a lot in the lead up to this and after Boba Fett of where Mando could be heading story wise in conjunction with Ahsoka, and plot lines have introduced on Bad Batch, and picking up thread lines from Clone Wars and Rebels, and even in trying to build the bridge to the sequel trilogy. Like, there's a big job at hand. And
giant.
I think this was a fun start to it.
Yeah.
I can't.
They did like it felt like they kind of laid out the players for the most part. Like we still don't have a clear villain yet. Right. Which we can theorize about that if you'd like. I'm curious what you like, where you think like the rub is going to be. Like, do you think it's going to be with the I kind of like get vibes that I don't think that ultimately she's gonna be the baddie, but I think that maybe for this season, or at least part of the season, the
Bo-Katan.
What?
Bo-Katan.
No, actually, I think that she. I guess she could be a foil. Because with the Darksaber and that business. I mean, obviously that's unfinished business, and that's going to have to come to a head at some point. And she seems, but it's weird because like her introduction in this episode was so like kind of beaten down and kind of given up about it all, and like I expected a little more fiery something from her.
Yeah, we'll get to her in a minute, but as far as a
villain.
foil, I mean, I do think she's a prime candidate to be kind of a foil for him. But I mean, we've got Gideon out there. We get
and they did mention him
that he's been sent to a New Republic tribunal. We know he's not going to
stay there,
stand trial, and if he does, he's going to get away. So he's an obvious choice. I assume the Thrawn introduction is coming in Ahsoka, so I won't say Thrawn.
Maybe Thrawn is. Maybe Thrawn somehow gets. Maybe we won't see. I wonder if we won't see. Oh God! You just said his name.
Gideon.
We won't see Gideon this season, or maybe we'll see him like at the very end or something. But I'm wondering if Thrawn has some way of getting Gideon out or something. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I know for sure we see Gideon.
Oh, is that right? Do we know that he's going to be in this season?
Giancarlo Esposito is very much in this season.
Great. Amazing.
Yeah.
Super.
He basically said in an interview, "I get out of prison."
Nice job.
Yeah, no, he that's
Hashtag
official.
no spoilers.
That's not a rumor though. It's his presence is known.
God bless that man. That is so funny.
But I would be interested to see what his connection to Thrawn is. We've talked about that a little
definitely,
bit.
if any.
Or is Thrawn completely off the map, and him resurfacing is kind of a surprise to everybody.
Yeah, like, ooh, where did you come from? Well, I mean, he's been gone for a long effing time, like pre Gideon's like rise to power, probably.
I mean, yeah. Well, he probably disappeared around the time of the Purge of Mandalore.
Sure.
I think I'm trying to, just off the top of my head, put the Rebels timeline with the Purge of Mandalore, which I not far off. They're around the same time. So
so that's interesting.
And then we've got the Pirate King Gorian Shard, who looks like a tossed bag of lettuce.
Yeah, honestly, like I
love the character design. Honestly,
same. It's really cool looking.
That's really weird Star Wars that I like seeing.
Yeah, same. Because it's like a he's not CG, and just really out there and different than anything we really have seen so far in the Star Wars universe, which is fun. It's like, is he like a completely new, or maybe this is a race from the cartoons that I just am not familiar with.
I'm not sure we've seen his species before.
Yeah. Very interesting.
I love how in Mandalorian fashion we start out every season with a fight against a giant monster.
Yes, tis tradition.
And I did enjoy this cold open of
it's cool.
Of getting yet another look into Mandalorian culture and tradition,
and they are
baptizing a new, one of the youths. And
you don't use the word baptism like very lightly. Like they are leaning super heavy into the religious theme.
Yes,
like it's like a religion.
And what I appreciate about what they've shown us about Mandalorian culture is the resiliency and how home is where they are, wherever
home
they are.
Is where the heart is.
Oh, God, I walked into that.
You did. Did you think that was the one I was going to choose? There's a lot of home.
Yeah, it was.
No, I was really?
Certain.
Yes. I could have been bringing home.
No, it was
with a giant vibrato.
But I do appreciate how they kind of pick up, and how many times have we seen them pick up and go? And start over and over again.
But yeah, it's interesting. I am curious. Oh, they being like these religious zealots, for lack of a better term. Like, I wonder if they will also become like sort of I don't want to use the word villain because I don't feel like they're going to ultimately be like a villain, but I feel kind of like Bo-Katan. Like I think that they're like both are going to cause issues for Mando.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, season 2 raised the specter of if not civil war, certainly
And season 2.5.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the discussion surfaced about what Bo-Katan thinks about the Watch.
Right.
And remember, these were the guys that followed Darth Maul as well. So
yeah, right.
They're a hardy bunch. And
yeah, they've done some questionable things to survive as long as they have.
Well, and again, I'm reminded of just the juxtaposition of Bo-Katan and Din Djarin. I mean, she's got her helmet off most of the time we see her, and he is going to a possibly irradiated planet to atone for taking his off.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
and I'm curious whether or not, like, because it's hard to really because it's very mysterious with his helmet on, so you really don't quite 100% know like what he's thinking and his like subtlety with his eyes and stuff like that. But I'm curious like where he's at like percentage wise in his actual belief in like the cleansing part of it.
Yeah.
Like, does he believe that's legit, or is he's like, I gotta do this to save face so that I can be part of my family again? Like, regardless of what it is, I just got to do it because that's what everybody says I got to do.
Yeah, it has to be I think the longing for family,
right?
Or some kind of structure
and belonging,
right? And by extension, safety for Grogu.
Yeah, but his family is right there with him.
Right,
his little Grogu family. Boop boop boop.
Which is.
If that's going to be, like, the overall arc at the end, like, they're just like, the family has been inside you the whole time.
Oh, God. I don't know. Is there a... Look, they gave Grogu a choice in Book of Boba Fett.
Yes.
Which I appreciated.
Yeah.
That it wasn't I appreciated that he was given kind of free will to decide. Is it selfish of Din Djarin to have taken him?
Is it selfish that didn't say like no Grogu, you go, and that, like don't stay? Well, he kind of tried though, right? Didn't he like originally like, or I think it was only initially.
I mean, he did leave. But,
yeah.
But
he's like, well, I mean, at this point, it's kind of like I could. It's like, I don't know if you ever Christmas Caroled at Disneyland, but you were supposed to refuse the tip. If you got a tip, you're supposed to refuse it 3 times. And then if it was after the 3rd time, then you could take the tip.
That's a real thing.
That is a real thing.
There's a number for
they're like 3 times.
Refusals.
If they force that tip upon you 3 times, you're like, yes. So you have to say no 3 times very fast. So here's a $5 bill. You're like, no, thank you.
No, please, I couldn't possibly. Thank you.
Yeah, but I think that that same kind of difference. Maybe Mando's got a same policy. He can only refuse Grogu a certain amount of times where he's like, all right, Grogu, whatever you say.
But I mean, is it selfish or for taking Grogu out of the relative safety the safety he would have with Luke? Sure,
and getting that extra like training that would make him like a force to be reckoned with. I mean, he already is. I mean, he has. But I mean, he's obviously like there's a lot more things that he's capable of that he hasn't been able to unlock. So I feel like I don't think we've seen the end of it. And I'm curious. I mean, we've got Ahsoka coming back, into the storyline. I don't think that Grogu's Jedi training is over.
No,
is my thought. Maybe with Luke, potentially. But I think that we're gonna see, and who knows? Maybe he's gonna get some tips from Ezra for all we know.
Yeah, sure.
Like it could be like he might just have this like mentor program. He's only going to go from like Jedi to Jedi to learn all these new things.
It takes a village.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I venture to say that yeah, no, because I think that because the moral that I got from him sticking with Mando was, you know, that family was more important, and like Mando is now his like chosen family.
Right.
And I think Mando has kind of like chosen that for himself too. It sounds like.
Yes.
Yeah. But you could probably say in a similar fashion that, well, I don't know about his choice trying to go to Mandalore to do these things. Like, I think that, yeah, it's whether or not he like really cares about, you know, the Mandalorians as a whole, or if it's really just a selfish thing because like he wants to feel like he's a part of something.
Yeah.
Well,
and we talked at the very beginning of this episode kind of about the time jump, or how much time has transpired and how it felt awfully quick for Grogu to return to Mando in the scheme of things.
Well,
and,
yeah, imagine if you just hadn't watched the Boba Fett, like,
yeah, right. We said going into this, I mean, good luck if you
right,
haven't,
truly,
because that trailer must be very confusing
like,
to you.
huh?
And if you hadn't seen the trailer, that cold open must have been very confusing
what?
to you.
Yes. Oh, also about the opener, did you? I was curious. Did you think that it was at first? Do you think it was a flashback?
I did. I thought that, yes.
It felt like it was on purpose, right? Like they were trying to make us think that was a young Din Djarin or something, maybe.
I'm not sure. I thought it was Din Djarin because Paz Vizsla was there. And,
oh, sure.
And the armorer and Din didn't know any of these people. So
yeah, that's fair.
I thought maybe this was basically. I thought maybe this was a. I thought this was a
young Kylo Ren.
A flashback to kind of show Mandalorians doing their thing before everything went south.
I know that we already have a young Ben, like, right? No, we didn't get a young Ben actor, did we?
Ben Solo?
Yeah.
No,
we didn't. So I mean,
no.
like, I know it's not him, but it like he definitely looked like he could be a young Ben.
Oh sure, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But so we've
what
had
a twist.
According to Jon Favreau, we had in universe we had a 2-year time jump, and so we go.
Is that what it is? From the part
from when
from the Boba
from
Fett
the end
part?
of Mandalorian to where we are
okay.
now.
Got it.
End of Mandalorian.
Well, I mean,
2.
you know, 2 years is a fairly long time. Did we ever get a breakdown of how long he was actually with Luke?
I assume
we only got 2 episodes, but I'm just like, how long were those 2 episodes?
Yeah, I don't know.
I imagine it was longer than a day.
Yes. he had been with him for a while.
Yeah,
yeah. My understanding.
And I guess I think it does. They needed to get Grogu back into the Mandalorian story because it really like it's unfortunate, but it feels like part of the success of the show really depends upon that adorable little creature.
I hope that's not the case.
You don't think it's the case? Okay.
Oh no, I said I hope not.
Oh,
I don't know if
right.
it is or not. I sure as hell hope not.
But I hear the Disney boardroom like in my head saying that.
Well,
I mean?
That's it. There feels like there's a marketing angle to it, but
yes,
but
anus.
We need Dr. Parshing to show up.
Yes,
like now.
I want
so we can
the story. Get me the story
so we can further the original purpose behind Grogu, which I do believe it was his original purpose, was this whole cloning subplot, which again, it's no coincidence that it's been addressed in several Star Wars properties.
It is very well. Yes. Speaking of, I mean, I know we're gonna get into it eventually when we finish off our Bad Batch breakdown. But and it's interesting that the episodes that are happening in conjunction to the opener of The Mandalorian have something to do with cloning. I'm interested to see where Bad Batch goes with that too.
Yeah.
And whether or not there ends up being any, connections.
I mean, this last episode of Bad Batch picking up a storyline from all the way back in season 2 of Clone Wars. I think. it's all if not directly related, it is all kind of part of one larger scheme, I think.
Yes. For sure.
And is that scheme what we end up seeing in Rise of Skywalker, or is it something else? And that's going to be interesting.
I think maybe both.
Piecing that together. Maybe both.
Yeah.
But I think that's where Grogu, as awesome as that little puppet is,
Yes.
I think that's where his utility lies. And the sooner we get there, the less it will feel like a marketing ploy that we brought him back into the fold.
Because at least for the first episode, and I know it's not super fair, like to just base it off of one episode, but it did feel like he's so cute.
Yeah. Remember how cute he is, and then remember how funny IG-11 is.
Yeah, right. And don't you want him back?
Until he reverts to Murderbot.
Which, oh my god, like Terminator moment, terrifying.
I know. It looked like they used a little stop motion.
It kind of did, yeah. Like the way it was like a little choppy.
Shots. Yeah.
Yeah. If they didn't do it like stop motion, they definitely like it looks like they tried like to make it look that way at least.
Yeah,
because
right.
it like sort of because there was a lot of stop motion done in the original movies.
Sure. Model work.
It fits in the style.
So in this 2-year time jump, we come to find that Navarro has been completely revitalized by Grief Karga, who is now the High Magistrate.
Yes, he's the Chief Magistrate.
The High Magistrate.
Sorry, High Magistrate.
You idiot.
You stupid fool.
You stupid idiot. Interesting, and this is kind of a deep dive into the old continuity of Star Wars, the old expanded universe.
Mm-hmm.
It's now that he describes Navarro as basically a trade hub on the Hydean Way,
mm-hmm.
which is a hyperspace trade lane that is first introduced in the old Star Wars legends. So cool that they're bringing yet another element back in.
Totally. And it's interesting, more universe building, galaxy building, whatever you want to call it. When they talk about the New Republic, like he's not really super keen on like joining up with them. Yep. He's just like, no. We're going to be our own thing. We don't need them. Like we got our like rich trade thing going on. We're going to be fine. So like knowing that, like you can assume that that's happening all over the galaxy.
Right. And this does get touched on in a fair number of the books that they released that bridge Return of the Jedi to Force Awakens, particularly Bloodline, which is a book about Leia's kind of political career in the New Republic.
Politics.
And describing just that, how quickly the New Republic gets bogged down in corruption, and that you have a whole political party made up of former Imperials who were, or at least Imperial sympathizers who kind of lay the groundwork for they're the more public face of the First Order. So I think you're going to start to see some of that action. I'd be really interested to see it, honestly.
Me too.
Because we know we're going to Coruscant in this season.
Ooh, I'm so excited for that.
And that's where we see Dr. Parshing, oddly enough. So
I think okay, what was I gonna say? I don't know, it'll come back to me. Shoot. It's all right.
It will.
It's fine.
It's fine. But while we were on Navarro, we did get a cleanup of Cara Dune's story.
Yeah, only took one or two lines.
We've discovered, and I bought it. We've discovered that she has been recruited by New Republic Special Forces, and that's why she is no longer
makes sense
a part of the story.
Well, I mean, technically, no, sorry, I'm getting my shit confused again, because she wasn't gonna be a part of some like another break off thing, was she? Or am I crazy?
Yeah, no, she was.
She was.
It was.
It's like a canceled thing, right?
Yeah, it was. It was a show about New Republic commandos.
Yeah, right. Okay, so that's like that is happening.
That
but
is
just
what happened.
We're not going to see it.
We're not going to see it.
Yeah, right. Which is fine. Which is fine. We have plenty of Star Wars right now. Plenty.
Sure. I would have loved a New Republic commando show, but fine.
Certainly, but it is fine. Yeah, and Yeah, I'm curious what you think about Navarro. Like, I'm sorry, the High Magistrate. Like, do you think that, anybody with like power and money like tends to kind of like, things get a little gray eventually, and I'm curious if you think that he might dip his toes into like.
I think things are already gray with Grief just because of who he is, and when he encounters the pirates outside of the school,
I think that was kind of a taste of it.
He both in how he handles it, but one of the pirates says, "You hired me in that very bar to murder."
Yeah, right.
And
you can't pretend like that didn't happen,
right? So I largely, if you're asking, do I think like Grief is gonna show elements of corruption or
yeah.
I don't think so. I think to your earlier point about what they're trying to show what Navarro is in relation to the New Republic.
Yes,
I think they're trying to establish his worldview that I think we're better off
without
by ourselves.
I mean, truly, it's an understandable position. I mean, if you are old enough to live through the Galactic Empire, or
it was only 5 years ago,
right,
5 or 6 years ago in universe. So
so
or 7 at this point.
And if you were old enough to maybe live through the before that, with the
Clone Wars.
Well, yeah, but what were they called before the Empire? It was the
Republic.
The Republic. The Republic.
Yeah.
I think you probably are not really quick to trust like giant government, entities. You're like,
well, and Navarro, it's super fresh. I mean, Gideon's Imperial Remnant was running Navarro not 2 years ago. So
I mean is it Navarro where they had all the fucking heads on pikes and stuff, right? Wasn't it?
Or was that Tatooine?
Or was it Tatooine? It might have been Tatooine.
Might have been both.
It might have been both.
I think it was both.
It could be, yeah. So
I think they made a point to show it was both.
Yeah. I don't think that in that universe I'd probably be like, yeah, I don't know, maybe not right away. Let's just see how it goes, and then maybe we'll join later, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because 5 years after, I was just like, are we sure that we got rid of all the corruption? Because like, I don't know.
I think Grief would be forgiven some heavy-handedness to maintain what he's built there, and by demonstrating that he turned, something as simple as turning a bar into a school.
Yeah,
I think it kind of shows you where Grief's head is at.
Yeah, for sure.
That he took all the money he did doing bad things.
But I think that the pirates are kind of trying to put, at least what I got from it is that the pirates are pushing the notion that it's like a facade.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're just covering up like who you really are.
Right.
Grief. Like, this isn't you.
Right.
Kind of thing. But I'm interested to see if they develop that more. I mean, we're obviously the pirates are going to be a thing in this season.
Yes.
Wait, where is our everyone's favorite pirate? Winnie the Pooh, Tigger. What's his face?
Oh. Are you at? Oh, the Gorian Shard.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's his name.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The Pirate King.
The Pirate King. Wait, no, not the new one. Is that his name? The green weird guy?
Yeah, Gorian Shard.
No. I'm talking about the good pirate from Rebels and Clone Wars 2, I think, actually now, right?
Who are you talking about?
Who am I talking about? You know who I'm talking about. He's in the Millennium Falcon ride at Disneyland.
Oh, Hondo.
Hondo
Oh
Onaka.
my God. It's like when you say pirate, I was like,
yeah, huh?
Which one?
Yeah, there's so many pirates.
Yeah.
Is he where? Huh? Is he alive at this point? Am I going?
Yeah.
I really have a hard time.
Yeah, if he's in Galaxy's Edge, he's.
Oh yeah, duh. Right, because that is almost this time period.
No, he's definitely alive.
So like, I wonder if we're gonna finally see a live action version of him.
Yeah, we could.
Be interesting. It's so funny too. Like we're all like, we talk about like seeing things live action for the first time. Like for instance, seeing the Mandalorian castle that Bo-Katan lives in. I can't remember the name of it, but and I put like live action in big quotation marks because like, you know, it still is like fairly digital.
Yeah,
like,
no, but
CGI.
it's live action.
But it's live action, right? Yeah. Like, we're going to see Mandalorian. I'm just curious, like, how much different it's going to look from the actual, like, cartoon version.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see Bo-Katan name drop Sundari, which is...
which we've seen.
We've seen it in Clone Wars.
I imagine that's going to be very cool. I mean, it's going to look very different because it's going to be very glassy, from what I understand.
Yes, and then... Bo-Katan currently resides on Kalevala, which we saw in Clone Wars as well, which is
and Rebels.
Another planet in the Mandalore system.
It was one of the last planets we saw in Rebels.
But to your point about it being glass, as we saw in season 2 of Mandalore, or no, was it? It was Book of Boba Fett.
Oh, sure.
It was an episode. It was one of Mando's episodes in Book of Boba Fett. When was it? Am I confusing it?
No,
when we see
I thought they
the
showed
flashback to the destruction of.
Yeah, I think the bombing happened in season 2. I think. I can look that up really quick.
I don't. Either way, I'm getting them all confused now.
I know. Same. There's so much.
But the Empire basically nuked Mandalore, and it'll be interesting to see what Mando finds, and everyone believes there's nothing to be found there, and that the surface is poisoned, and
but we all know it's not poison. They're gonna go there, and they're like, "Oh my god, this place is
bathe
like
in the waters." And...
Yeah, it's like meow, 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 meow. There's people with, like cocktails, like, "Oh my god, Mandalorian's amazing. Why? Where have you guys been?"
I'll be fascinated. Because I'm trying to, and this is spoilery, so if you're the kind of person who doesn't like watching trailers, don't,
throw your earphones in the trash right now.
But it does look like in one of the trailers when Mando's being chased by TIE fighters that they're on Mandalore.
Yeah, I
wonder if the Empire has already gone back, and if they're potentially looking for something, or they know. Maybe Gideon knows he's going back and he's waiting for him.
Oh, I believe that. Yeah, totally. Yeah, because I mean, Gideon, or at least Gideon's people,
right?
They are all aware that the Mandalorian exists and that he now has the Darksaber. So they're piecing that together. They're saying like, okay, so what does this guy do that now that he has the saber that unites all the Mandalorians? You know what I mean? What are they going to do? They're going to go back to Mandalore. So of course, yeah, I 100% think you're right about that.
Oh.
Yeah. 4,000%. I believe it. I was looking for the episode and I can't find it.
Yeah, I can't for the life. Chime in the comments if
yeah, please tell us, because we are lost.
I feel like
it
was Book of Boba Fett. No, it was Book of Boba Fett.
It was your
I'm throwing my chips into the middle of the table. It was when Mando was talking to the armorer when we first see him back in Book of Boba Fett. She talks about the Night of 1,000 Tears.
Yeah, that does sound familiar. Yeah,
that's when we see it.
I
knew it was relatively recently, but really, really scary.
Yeah,
imagery.
So cool. Oh my god, it looks so cool.
But really,
just giant mushroom
I think
clouds.
we talked about it when we were analyzing Book of Boba Fett. That was the first time we'd seen, maybe apart from Order 66, we'd actually seen the Empire's savagery.
Yeah,
live screen anyway.
Right. I mean, we've seen like the video game versions
action,
and stuff,
and the animated.
What was the
shows? But
what do they call it? What do they call it in the
Operation Cinder?
Cinder, there it is.
Oh, right, yeah.
Operation
Where they were burning planets.
It's Operation Cinder. They just send Cinderella in, and she's just like, oh,
Yeah, right. Looks like the clock struck midnight on you. Yikes.
And she's got a fucking bomb. Oh my god, Cinderella, what the hell? Cinderella's got a bomb! Sweet Jesus.
They said you would wear the shoe. Okay, this is going too far.
Oh my god. Not vomit. That is dumb. That's very stupid.
All in all, it was a fun kind of catch me up episode.
Yes.
That's what it was. It was
it's introduce the characters and remind us who they were and where they are.
Remind us of the quest. He goes and talks to the armor again about what he has to go do.
Yes. Like, and just in case he didn't see Boba Fett.
Right, and then pops in on Bo-Katan to say, I'm going to Mandalore.
Yeah, hey, bro. You wanna join?
Interesting. We haven't talked really much about it. He does find her almost complete. I mean, she's completely alone.
Yeah.
In that she reveals that.
I was expecting to have like a bag of Doritos in her hand because she's like lounging on the chair, just like, ugh.
Yeah, what was she doing in the 5 minutes before Mando showed up?
Yeah, that's my question. Just like watching the game on the television.
But in all seriousness, we discover that her crew of Mandalorians abandoned her after she lost the Darksaber.
No saber, no game. I'm out of here.
And she even throws it in Mando's face. She's like, "You have the saber. You go lead them."
Yeah, you did this. Which honestly is a really it's an interesting change for her. It feels like we missed a lot, and I hope we get a little bit more explanation, but it feels like we skipped a lot of her story, which I'm wish I could have seen.
Although I remember thinking, or I think we even talked about it at the end of season 2 of Mandalorian, that it was going to come to a head. That
definitely
that he had the Darksaber, and that she was not going to be too pleased about it.
Yeah, and that she was kind of like overcompensating and trying to,
And I remember her and Boba Fett and their crew kind of butting heads several times about who was kind of running the group, and
sure,
the seeds were there for this being a problem.
Yes,
and I think Gideon knew that too. I mean, he's
playing into it.
Yeah,
right. So, but and like the fact that and also how the roles have reversed too, because originally she was just like, no, Mandalore is we should go retake Mandalore, and and then
we need equipment, we need ships.
Yeah, and Din was just like, no, that place is poison, and now it's completely reversed, where she's just like, that place is poison, and he's like, you're the one who said it wasn't. What the hell?
Yeah.
So
I have a feeling we'll unpack some of that.
Yeah, there's something happened. Something.
And then, as you mentioned earlier in the episode, Space Whale, I think that'd make purrgil immediately makes you think.
It made my imagination run wild, especially that since the only person who witnessed it was Grogu. So Grogu has the ability to sort of commune with animals and kind of use the force to have some kind of sway with them. So I'm just curious whether or not they spoke mentally or at least kind of touched each other through the force, or if it was just kind of oh wow, that looks pretty, good night.
I think it was more that.
Yeah.
But it was that, but designed to make us all go, remember the last time we saw these?
Yes. Ezra is coming.
Yeah.
And so is Thrawn. Yikes. Yeah, it's a curious thought. I mean, of whether do you imagine that Thrawn and Ezra this entire time have just been warping through space?
I would think they got separated.
Just
if they've been together this now, I'm not saying I prefer it one way or another, because I think it would actually be super fascinating if they've been stuck together this whole time.
Yes.
I don't think that's the case, but I would be interested to hear that.
They come out as great friends. They're no, he's misunderstood. You don't understand. We've been together
all wrong, man.
We've been together for at least 30 years now, and he's cool people, guys. It's not the same can be said for this Cinderella lady. She's She's a fucking
She's
terrorist.
doing a real hatchet job on the galaxy.
With her glass shoes.
Well, it was a fun episode.
Yes, and I'm very excited.
Very excited to get into the meat of it.
I know I text you about this, but like just to say it out loud again, I did not prepare myself for the shortness of the Mandalorian episodes.
Yep.
Now I am prepared, but my God, they are so short, and it's good because I mean, don't give me things that I don't need to see. You know,
Right.
Just show me the meat and potatoes, and that's good. But like, oh man, it does leave you wanting so much more, which is a good thing. It's a good thing.
Yes, it is. It is.
Yes. But I am prepared for next episode. I hope it's longer though. That all being said, make it longer, please.
Please. All right.
Was that it?
I think we covered the bases.
Yeah, we covered the bases. I'm
Let
just
us know
curious
what
what
you
you
thought
guys
of
all
this
think.
episode.
If you guys
Yeah.
all thought the same thing. If you guys had, you know, if you how many tauntauns you'd give it. Yeah. So you know we're on Instagram, at Inside the Tauntaun. Yeah. So come and join us. We make all of our announcements there for new episodes and such. But yeah, comment, like, subscribe, etc., etc.
So on and so forth.
Yes,
Well, this is Inside the Tauntaun, a podcast in the multiverse of fandom.
it is.
I'm Dino Nicandros.
And I'm Daniel Dawson.
And Alyssa will probably be back with us next week.
She better.
I hope. God. She better. Her days are numbered. I'll tell you that much.
That's right. Haram.
This is Inside the Tauntaun, a podcast in the multiverse of fandom.
You said that!
See you next time. I did say that. I'm saying it again. May the force be with you. Always.
Inside the Tauntaun podcast. Please like and subscribe.